Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Homesteading Channel, Wednesday edition. If today is the first time you're visiting with us, we want to extend to you a very warm welcome and invite you to watch any of our over 560 videos arranged for your convenience in playlists, as we are confident you're going to find something both useful and entertaining to watch. If you've been here before, welcome back. If today is your birthday, Yeehaw! Happy birthday. You like my Yeehaw? Summer has arrived here in beautiful North Carolina, and along with summer, the need for air conditioning. And of course, when you need air conditioning, what is the first thing that goes off? Does not work?
The air conditioning.
The air conditioning. And in this case, we talk about cars specifically. So in all of our cars, we have an air conditioning that blows warm. It doesn't really do anything to cool the vehicle. So today we're going to show you one of the easiest ways to fix your air conditioning and one of the most cost efficient without taking it to the garage and spending a couple of $1,000s, right? And you can do that. We purchase our kit at Walmart. We are not endorsing Walmart, nor are we sponsored by it, but it's a recharge kit. And we left all our air conditioning tools back in Kansas, so I bought the one that has the reusable nose and carriage attachment because I know we're going to use it again.
So this will have the gauge on it.
Right.
Okay.
It's a little more expensive, you know, and I don't like the single use because those caps are not very good, you know. And you do need the gauge because it tells you when it is charged. You don't want to overcharge.
Right.
An overcharge system is as bad as an undercharge system. So you need to do that, and you only need to know a couple of things in order to do this job quickly, safely, and effectively. So let's get under the hood, and we're going to talk to you about that. So let's go under the hood, and this is a 2009 Subaru Impreza. But the process is the same for every car. You want to look around and find your compressor, and the compressor in all cars will look like this. You know, it has a clutch. Don't confuse it with the alternator. The alternator will have fins. You see the difference? Where this is solid, this is one piece solid, right?
Okay.
The alternator is three pieces because it has windings in it and has fins.
Okay.
The compressor does not have fins.
Okay.
And then you can follow the lines. One is the high line, and it is labeled H for high. And one is the low line, which in this car is just around the corner. Now,
So the line actually goes here and circles back around and comes here, and then you're gonna see the L there. Let me see if I can get close enough to it. There we go.
I mean, if you cannot find it, just follow it. There is a high and a low. And the good thing about these devices is that you cannot make a mistake because there are different sizes.
So that connector will not connect to the high
port. It will not go
port.
to the high. It will only go to the low.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
So-
do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I left a lot of my tools in Kansas. So as I said before, I think we did buy one that has a reusable. We have 5-6 cars. I'm sure we're going to do that again.
So this comes with
The gauge and a very nice hose versus a plastic hose.
Right, but this little piece here and what is
This is to prevent it from piercing the bottle because this thing pierces the
so
bottle.
it's like a spacer,
Right.
and then once that spacer is removed, and you need to remove it before you
Right.
start
It will
trying
not
to
work
charge.
if you don't. Yeah. Now, don't buy it if this is removed because that could be an empty bottle.
Right.
Does it make sense? So don't buy it if it is removed.
And then once you remove that, you put your gauge back on, and you'll probably hear it pierce, right?
Yes. Even if you don't, it will pierce. I mean, this is not something that it works very well. I've never had one. Watch me now having a failed one. I mean, we have never had one that didn't work, right?
Okay, so I didn't hear anything, but it should have pierced it.
Right.
Okay.
And then we're going to come here and we're going to remove, I don't know,
The cap?
can you get there?
Yep,
Yeah.
of course.
It is just a screw on, which of course I dropped.
Goodness. You'll have to find it.
All right, folks, we had to stop for a moment because I dropped the little cap. Now, if you drop it, you do need to recover it. If you lose it, you can purchase it in any auto store. These are pretty universal, you know. The high and the low, you can purchase them on Amazon, anywhere. And the reason you don't want to drive the car for a long time without the cap is because you don't want that valve to get dirt in it.
Right.
You can actually make it leak. You can cause damage that you don't need to. So the best way is to try not to drop it.
Right. And you can see that it's pretty clean there.
Right, you need to keep it clean.
Okay.
This is important, right? And now we're going to go and get a helper because the car needs to be running when we do this.
Okay.
Now, unlike the cap, this does not screw on. This is a press on. It has a little, I don't know if you can see this.
Mm-hmm.
And it will keep it securely. So you just go into the port. And I don't know if you hear it, but
There, you could hear that.
okay.
Okay.
What does it say there?
It actually says C something.
Okay. So when you buy this, even if it's a little more expensive, buy the longest hose you can find, because especially if you are not sure where your low pressure port is.
Mm-hmm.
In our case, I like that we have a long side, so I'm not really close to the engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
It will work, and there are some that go directly on, and I would avoid those, because for some cars that simply will not work.
Mm-hmm.
Now you do need to have the engine run on this, because without the engine running, there is no pressure. It doesn't do anything. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
There is no rotation. And once we started, we're expecting Wizard Junior to arrive. Once the car is running, this should not take a long time. If you see now, I can press the trigger and it will go to low, but it doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not charging because the system is static right now, right?
Right. Okay.
So it needs to have the pump working.
Okay.
So a really fast way to understand what's happening here. This is refrigerant. It used to be Freon. Now I think it's called R13. I forget what it's called.
RA34 or something. Like that.
R134A, yeah.
Yeah, 134A.
And the difference is that
Had
this
some of the numbers.
this allowed it to be a do-it-yourself process, because this can be discharged to the atmosphere when Freon cannot. It's a controlled chemical that you cannot discharge. So if you make a mistake with this bottle and you discharge it, let's say it is not correctly attached there, you're not going to break federal law. You're not going to go to jail, right?
Or
And the
cause
way-
harm to the atmosphere.
Right.
Or inhale something that's not
Well,
that you should inhale this.
Never
you
do this
shouldn't.
indoors with a closed, like in a
Right.
garage with a closed door.
Right.
This has to be, and of course you shouldn't, because the car has to be running, but just to make sure, right?
Right.
And very, very quickly, the way this works, this is liquid, and you put it in the system as liquid, but in the high side, actually, it is gas, right?
Okay.
So it goes on gas in the high side, and it compresses and becomes liquid again. And the exchange from liquid to gas and vice versa is what draws the temperature, draws the heat, and exchange it with cold, right?
Okay.
So this process draws the atmospheric thing off and makes it work, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Is it fully seated on the?
I guess let's go, I will go in the other direction. So, a couple of things. Make sure that the car is running. The compressor has to be on. So you need to turn your AC on and on in full, right on high.
All the way on high.
And I will tell you in a moment how you know that the clutch is engaging. And don't go above this area. You see how it's filled? So don't go above that, because you don't want to overfill it.
Right.
So this is about where we're going to leave it. And I'm going to show you really quickly how to check that the compressor is working.
Okay.
Okay. So,
And in just a moment, we will put that cap back on.
Michael, can you turn the AC off? And as you can see, I don't know if you saw it. Do you see?
Yep, that little right there. Okay.
And can you turn it back on? And this is the clutch. If this doesn't work, you need a new compressor. And if you don't see that movement, I don't know how good you can see it on camera,
Yeah, you
but
can see it very clear. And so if that's moving, then you know that your
Right.
clutch is working and the compressor is jumping.
and if this don't move, do not try to charge it. It will not charge. Actually, like in ours, you saw that symbol here was,
Yeah.
I cannot do anything. And it's coming cold right now. All right, and Wizard Junior tells us it is cold, so hopefully that will last. Now this is mostly full. This had a little leak, which shows you that modern AC systems can be very, very sensitive, right? I mean, we didn't put a lot in it at all,
No.
but it went from not blowing cold to blowing cold. So
Right.
don't think you have to do it for 5 minutes. Have someone in the car, ask them to tell you when it's cold. Because overfilling it again is as bad as underfilling it.
Right. Okay.
All right? All right. So the last thing you should do, take your cap and make sure that it is inserted. And another thing, with the engine off, go close and hear it, that there is not a leak, that the valve is not leaking, right? That's a secondary part of these caps. They actually have a gasket, and they will prevent the valve from
Help
small
seal
leaks,
it.
right?
Okay.
Now, if you come here, again, this is the clutch. And if your clutch doesn't engage, even if you have Freon, don't add to it, because A, it will not do anything, and B, it is the clutch that's the issue, not your and I
Your
call it Freon. It's really a refrigerant,
Your refrigerant
not
level.
Freon.
Right. Okay.
So this is fast and easy. If you go to a mechanic, they will easily charge you upwards of $300 to $1,000. I've had shops ask me for $1,200 to do this exercise. Now, everything has gone up. This was a $32 purchase. You can buy it cheaper if you already have the
gauge.
right? I mean, we needed the gauge because I'm sure this will not be the last car that will have to do that this summer, right?
Right.
It's a common. Now, if it happens very frequently, then you do have a leak that you need to address. You need to take it to an AC shop and address it. Or if you feel comfortable, you can troubleshoot it yourself.
Right.
We've done it in the past. In fact, in one of our cars, we changed the compressor altogether. So it is possible, but it's not the subject of this video.
Right.
Well, Elpida, did I forget to show anything to our audience?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
All right. Well, I hope you guys found some value on this. A little short lesson on how this works, right? On the AC system. It is something that really you can do. Just be careful. Don't pressure that. This goes easy in. I don't know if it was visible when I did it. If you feel that you have to pressure this, either you're on the high side or something is wrong with your stem. The valve has a stem in it, right?
Okay.
And either of those, I don't know if you can see it here. You can see that presses the stem in. Is it visible?
Yes.
So if it is hard and the stem is a little bent, you're going to break it. You might need to use a needle, no pliers, and straighten the stem or whatever.
Okay.
Rarely that's the case. We've done, I don't know, Peter, how many times we've done this in
Oh,
cars.
I don't even know.
So I've not come across a bend yet,
Right.
but it is potentially possible, right? I mean,
Right. But the moral that you're trying to get to is if you're having to push too hard or force it in any
You're doing
way,
it wrong.
then something's not right.
right, yeah.
You should never have to force this connection.
Do not force it at all, exactly.
Okay.
This is something that it has to go in, and do not try, it will not fit on the high, and you can damage both the system and your device here, right? It has to be on the low. If you have two highs, or if you don't have a label on them, one of our cars didn't have labels, I don't know if you remember it.
No, I don't remember.
The high is the larger of the two.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can visually look at them, and you can even see it from here. If you see, this is a larger.
Larger cap, and then this one is a slightly smaller cap. Yeah.
So if you don't have a high and low, your low is a smaller one. Or another trick, if you don't have a high and low, if you look at, and this is very easy to see, but if you go on your compressor, you're going to see that your high is actually going into the cooling system. It's going into the radiators.
Okay.
Don't confuse it with the radiator for the car. Those are fins, radiator fins for the air conditioning only, right?
Okay.
So if everything else fails, just follow. If this is not labeled, but it goes in towards your radiator, it is the high.
Okay.
And you see the other one does not, goes completely the other direction. And that is the low.
Okay.
Are we forgetting anything to tell our audience?
No.
All right, folks, this is our quick program for today, and it is 3,000 degrees out here. It feels like it, I know it is. So we hope you did enjoy it, and if you did, we would appreciate a thumbs up. If you didn't, the other button works as well. Share, like, subscribe. Continue putting your masks on and washing your hands every time you go out. The mask at some point will eventually come off, right? But washing your hands is good practice. In fact, I've done it for many years, and I've been sometimes made fun of, right? I always had something in my car to
Sanitizer.
to sanitize my hands, and so for me that was not new, but it is important that even with vaccination you do it to protect each other, right? Stay safe, friends, and we're going to be back soon with you for another Build on the Weekend.